Hello everyone and welcome to our impromptu training today that we are going to dive in and talk about the SBA Paycheck Protection Plan. We're going to talk about the other SBA programs that are now available to help you through the coronavirus crisis. This is an impromptu webinar. I'm just doing this because literally the information I'm about to show you was just released in the last 24 hours, and this is everything you need to know to get funding from the SBA. By the end of this training, you're going to know the SBA programs that are available. You're going to know how to get this money and it be forgiven. Money that does not have to be paid back. And actually, you can get quite a bit of money right now that doesn't need to be paid back. You're going to know exactly the process to get approved for SBA programs and other options that you have, even if you don't qualify for the SBA Protection Plan, which most of you will. So let's dive in. For those that don't know me, my name's Ty Crandall. I'm CEO of Credit Suite. If we can help you along the way, I put our phone number and an application at the bottom of my slide so you can move forward and actually get approved. Our number's 877-600-2487. info@creditsuite.com. Okay, so let's talk about this. This is a really big deal, okay? The Paycheck Protection Plan is the biggest form of relief that we are seeing from the government to help those of us that own small businesses to navigate through the coronavirus. So this is where you're able to get funds for your business that will be 100% forgiven, meaning that this is funds that you will not actually have to pay back. So who can apply? Well, you need to be in business before February 15th, 2020 in order to get this SBA funding. The businesses affected, if you've been affected by this and you have less than 500 employees, then you can qualify. Okay, this includes sole proprietorships. It includes independent contractors. It includes you being self-employed. Okay, it includes you being an actual corporation, an LLC. So even if you are a 1099 employee, even if you are self-employed, you can still qualify for this funding that was just released. And I mean just released by this. The bill was signed off on Friday last night as of which was Tuesday, April or March 31st. We just for the first time saw SBA give us an idea of guidelines, how to get approved, and you're able to get approved as soon as Friday, as you will soon hear. So you can get approved as a small business, a sole proprietorship, an independent contractor, self-employed. Okay, you can also get approved if you are a nonprofit or veterans organization. So if you are a 501c, you are still able to qualify for this kind of SBA relief. Now the terms, you are able to get approved for 2.5 times your average total monthly payroll. So here's how it works. You look at your 2019 payroll, you average it out to see how much you spend per month, and then you are able to get 2.5 times that amount. So let me give you an example. So I just had a client yesterday on the high end of this. His payroll is $500,000 a month. He's able to get 2.5 times that, which is the equivalent of 1.5 million on this program. So you've got to figure out what your average payroll is for 2019, and then on top of that, you are then multiplying that times 2.5 times. Now, if you've already received an economic injury disaster loan, what is known as EIDL from SBA, then that will be included in this as well. So your loan amount equals 2.5 times the amount of your average payroll and plus the funds that came from that EIDL loan. If you're not familiar with EIDL, we're going to talk about that too. That's another option that's available for you to get financing to make it through this crisis. Now, loan payments are deferred for 6 months. You do not need to make any payments for 6 months. And I'm going to show you within minutes how you're never going to have to make payments on any of this to begin with. But they're giving you 6 months to basically spend the money and then prove that you spent the money for certain things for the entire amount to be forgiven. You do not need collateral. You do not supply a personal guarantee. Okay, neither the government nor the lenders are going to charge any kind of fees on this whatsoever, and the loan has a maturity of 2 years with a 0.5% interest. Now, yes, that's correct, a 0.5% interest. Now, Joe says, are 1099s included? Yes, they are, and we'll talk about that in just a second. 1099s are included into payroll. You are included into your payroll. We're going to talk about who's included and excluded within minutes, but what you need to know about this is that even though I say a maturity of 2 years and an interest rate of a 0.5%, I'm about to show you how you'll never need to pay this back. This literally is the equivalent of free money as long as you are working within very, very simple parameters that you can actually have this money issued to you and never have to pay it back. But if you don't meet the guidelines, if for some reason you don't use the money as I'm about to show you, then you would have 2 years to pay it back at a 0.5% interest. But again, I'm about to show you how to get this entire amount that is lent to you completely forgiven. So Joe was asking these questions. Here it is. The sum of payments, when we talk about your payroll, we're talking about salary, we're talking about wages, we're talking about commissions, similar compensations, we're talking about payment of cash, tips, and equivalent. We're talking about payment for vacation, parental, leave, family, medical or sick leave, allowance for dismissal or separation, payment for the provisions of group health insurance benefits, including insurance premium, payment of any retirement benefits, payment of state or local tax assessments on the compensation of employees. Okay, everything. 1099 employees are included. W-2 wages are included. Self-employed are included. Any of those are actually included in this. So you are able to come through and actually get approved. Now, the sum of payments above $100,000 are excluded. So let's say that you pay yourself or you have a manager that makes $120,000 a year. They would exclude the $20,000 in payroll. So they are going to look at all payroll up to $100,000 per individual. If you are over $100,000, they will exclude the amount above $100,000 into your total payroll calculations, and FICA taxes are excluded as well. Now, BM says, where do you send this app when filled out? I will show you. I will tell you exactly where you need to get the actual applications. Okay, but I'll show you. So this is not going to last long. We're going to go less than 30 minutes today, and I'm going to give you every detail that you need to know. Actually, right here, let's jump into it. Where to apply. So you can apply through any existing SBA lender or through any federally insured depository institution. What that means is it means the big banks. Chase, Bank of America, Wells Fargo, M&T, okay, BB&T. These are all the types of banks that are federally insured depository institutions, federally insured credit unions as well, and the Farm Credit Institution that is participating. So basically anybody that offers SBA loans now, but there are new fintech, there are alternative lenders that are gaining the ability to get these loans as well. And they will tell you and they will put on their website when they do have the ability. So that means the big banks can give you these loans. You can get them through the big banks. You can also start to get them through alternative lenders as well. Maybe On Deck, maybe Cabbage. When they are going through the process of applying and getting the ability to offer these loans, they will advertise that they are. But you can also go through the big banks. If you need help with that, give us a call. Go to creditsuite.com/get-funding. We have about 10 SBA sources. So if you don't have one that you know, like, and trust, like your banker, then just give us a call. Go online to creditsuite.com/get-funding. We will refer you to somebody that can help you get this loan if you don't already know somebody that is a banker or have a relationship with the big bank. Now here's the dates. April 3rd, 2020, small businesses and sole proprietors can apply. That is this Friday. Listen, get your stuff together. I'm going to tell you right now what you're going to need. Get your stuff together. I don't care what you do today. You don't even have a life today. What you need to do is prepare for this loan application as of Friday. Get in line. A lot of people are going to be applying. That's why I'm doing this impromptu presentation, just so you know that you can be in front in the line. April 10th, 1 week away, independent contractors and self-employed individuals can apply. Those are the dates. So as of Friday, you can apply if you're a small business and sole prop. April 10th, if you're an independent contractor and self-employed individual. SBA application and payroll docs are required. They need to see your payroll docs, and I'm going to show you what they're going to look for. They're going to look for basically everything to do with your payroll. They want to know how much your payroll is. They want a breakdown of your payroll. They want to see how much your payroll taxes are. And you're also going to have an SBA application that you're going to want to fill out with them as well. And you're going to have to apply by June 30th, 2020. Okay, no applications at this point will be accepted after that date. So you have until June 30th to come in, apply, and actually get your funding. Now, forgiveness. This is extremely important. The loan will be fully forgiven if the funds are used for payroll cost, interest on mortgage, rent, and or utilities. Okay, this is extremely important. What fully forgiven means is it means you will not have to pay it back. So if we think about what they're saying here, they're giving us 6 months to make the first payment. Then they're telling us if we use the money, and that's 6 months to make the first payment after the loan is issued. And they're telling us that if we use the money for these things and prove that we did, then we will not have to pay back a dime of the money that is used for for these purposes. Now, keep in mind, at least 75% of the amount they will forgive must be used for payroll. So you have to prove that you're using the money to pay your actual payroll. 75% of the funds you're getting must cover payroll. Now the rest, that means 25% is left over to pay your rent, to pay your mortgage, to pay your utilities, and to pay existing debt payments on debt you had before any of this happened. So if you have a loan from On Deck or SBA, etc., in the year before, then you could use the actual money to pay that as well. Bad example, because SBA, as you will learn, SBA will actually forgive 6 months worth of your SBA loan payments if you have them now. We'll talk about that in a minute. The bottom line is you need to use 75% of the funds to pay your payroll. The other 25% can be used to pay interest on mortgages, rent or utilities. You are going to be wanting to supply documentation proving that that is what the money is being used for, and that can be forgiven. Now, forgiveness is based on the employer maintaining or quickly rehiring employees and maintaining salary levels. Here's what you need to know. Once you get the loan, you can't go firing everybody. You're going to have to retain, from what we've seen, 90% of the employees from after you get the loan through potentially the end of the year, okay, or when you apply for forgiveness. So when you come in and you get the money, you need to retain 90% of your employees up through the point that you're actually applying to get forgiveness for that to actually be forgiven. And you have to maintain salary levels. You can't just take all your full-time employees and reduce them to part-time. They have to be equivalent level of payroll that they were actually making in 2019. So those are the two caveats you should know about. Forgiveness will be reduced if full-time headcounts decline or if salaries and wages decrease. You get the idea. If you have employees, you get the loan, you start laying people off and start lowering the amount they get paid, then you go to apply for forgiveness, they're going to reduce the amount of forgiveness you get, and you're going to have to pay some of this back based on that 2-year term and 0.5% interest. So the key here is that you want to use 75% of the funds to pay your payroll, 25% for things like rent, mortgage, and utilities. The amount that's for payroll, you need to keep your payroll, what you're paying your people, consistent, and do not lay off a bunch of people. You need to keep employment at 90% after you get the loan up through the point that you actually apply for forgiveness, or that forgiveness amount will be reduced. Once you actually pay that money towards those things and apply for forgiveness, then they are committed that within 60 days they will review your application and they will approve your application if you meet these requirements to have that money completely forgiven. Guys, free money. That's exactly what this is. What they are literally saying is that if you get the money and you use it for payroll and use it for these other expenses, the money will be completely forgiven and will never need to be paid back. And if you mess up and you lay off more than 10% of your employees, or you start lowering people's wages, then your forgiveness amount will be reduced. But even then, the payback is over 2 years at 0.5% interest. The idea here is to be smart. Okay, if you use the money for your payroll, which you should, and you're using money for expenses, you'll never need to pay this money back if you're then applying for forgiveness and you meet these requirements that we just talked about. Pretty basic requirements. So that's it. That's what you need to know about Paycheck Protection Program. I can't tell you more than that. Those are the basics. I can go into a million little details that don't matter, but that is mainly what you need to know. This is non-personal guaranteed, and we're going to talk about some other things as well. There is no personal guarantee required. There is no collateral required for approval. Okay, so you are not personally liable for this, and you don't have to supply collateral as well. You don't have to go through the credit checks of SBA. You don't have to supply and meet all the income and regular income cash flow qualifications. None of that applies to these loans. You basically just have to be able to supply your payroll documents. When you supply your payroll documents, they're then going to come in, look at those numbers, figure out your 2019 totals of average amount of payroll, give you 2.5 times that, and as long as you meet these requirements, you'll be able to have that money forgiven. Now, there are some other SBA programs you should know about. The first is called the EIDL. This is the Economic Injury Disaster Loan. These are the first loans that rolled out with the $50 billion. Now, you're not going to have both. You can't have an EIDL and the PPP that I just told you. You can't have both. But some of you might not qualify for PPP because you might not have payroll, but you still might qualify for the EIDL. That's why I'm telling you about this loan as well. These loans are up to $2 million. 3.75% rate for profit companies, 2.75% for nonprofits, loans up to 30 years. And when you apply, there's now an option on the application to click a box where you can get a $10,000 grant, free money, that can be advanced to you in as little as 36 hours. When you apply, you'll see the box to actually sign off on this. 30 years, $350,000, that could give you a payment of about $1,600 a month for this EIDL. It's a completely separate program. You're going to have to supply a year's worth of financials. You're going to have consumer credit and business credit established to qualify. But for those of you that don't have large payrolls or much payroll at all, this may be a better option for you than the actual PPP program we just talked about. Now, Joe says, just to clarify, if you can please, they look at how the money was spent in the 8 weeks after you got the loan or the 6 months that payments are deferred. They are actually looking at the 8 weeks after you got the loan, or basically up until the time you apply for forgiveness. Okay, that's what they're really looking at. Is when you are going to apply for forgiveness, you are going to submit documentation to them, Joe. So you're going to come in and say, okay, I got the loan. They gave me $100,000. Now, I'm going to apply for forgiveness. So I'm now going to go to apply for forgiveness, and when I apply for forgiveness, I'm going to need to show them how I use that money. In order to do that, I'm going to have to show them my payroll records. So think of it like this, Joe. When I apply for the loan, I supply my payroll records to them. Then when I'm going to ask for forgiveness, I supply my payroll records to them again. They're going to be comparing those payroll records. What they're looking for is that you didn't lay off more than 10% of your workforce or reduce their salaries when you're applying for forgiveness. So the bottom line is, I've seen both. I've seen it be 8 weeks after, but from what we're seeing with SBA right now, you just need to keep straight and narrow, especially up until the time that you're applying for forgiveness. So theoretically, you spend the money in the first 3 months, you supply your payroll records, you supply your receipts, you show that you use the money to maintain payroll and also to pay your expenses, then the loan will be forgiven at that point. Okay, so hopefully that answers that question. And Desmond says, Ty, will your company help with this process? We do not do SBA loans because we're not an actual SBA lender, but we will get you with an SBA lender. Absolutely, yes, we will. So if you're applying for the PPP loans, we can absolutely connect you with an SBA lender. We don't charge you any fees to do so. Give us a ring. Go to creditsuite.com/get funding, and we will accommodate you and get you to a lender that can actually help you secure these loans. Okay, so the other programs. The second program is SBA Debt Relief. I've talked about this briefly. SBA will pay the principal and interest of any new 7A loan issued prior to September 27th. So, for example, Credit Suite. We got a loan from SBA last year. They've already forgiven 6 months worth of our payments. They already forgive our payments on that for 6 months. SBA will pay the principal and interest of current SBA loans for a period of 6 months. They've already done that. Very fast approval process. So if you already have an existing SBA loan, they will pay 6 months worth of your SBA loan payments for you. We went through it. Very simple, easy process. They've already approved us. They're already waived our next 6 months worth of programs. Okay, they also have an SBA Express Bridge pilot program. This is for small businesses who currently have a business relationship with an SBA Express lender. Most business lenders that do SBA Express. Okay, you can get $25,000 fairly easily through this program, okay, and it will be repaid as part of an EIDL loan or a PPP loan. So the bottom line is that this is a bridge loan to bridge you to the point where you're getting the emergency, the economic injury disaster loan. So the one I just talked about, in the time that you're applying to get this EIDL, you can get access to up to $25,000 through a fast bridge loan with SBA as well. So these are now officially the main SBA programs. We've got the PPP. At 2.5 times your average payroll, you're able to get it completely forgiven. It never needs to be paid back. Okay, we've also got this EIDL. This came out before the PPP. This can work for you only if you really don't have payroll to write off. If you don't have payroll to write off, go this option. If you do have payroll to write off, go with the first option I gave you, because the first option is completely forgiven. This loan isn't. Okay, so EIDL you don't want to get if you already got that PPP loan. If you have SBA loans, you can write off 6 months worth of those payments. If you are applying for that disaster loan because you don't have payroll, then they can give you that $25,000 bridge loan while you're actually waiting to get approved. Now, there are still other alternatives alternative financing options available. The number one loan program we're doing the most of right now is called our Credit Line Hybrid. You can get lines of credit up to $150,000. They are no doc. You don't need tax returns. You don't need bank statements. So even if your revenue is declining, you can still get this. You're getting 0% rates for up to 18 months, and this is helping you build business credit. A lot of these accounts report to the business credit reporting agencies and help you build business credit. All that's needed is a 650 FICO score or higher from you and or a guarantor, family member, friend, mom, dad, potential investor. Those people can sign as guarantors if you don't have a 650 FICO score. How much money you get will be based on how high your credit limits are, how high your utilization is, how many inquiries you have, how good your credit is. Those are factors that will affect how much money you'll get, but this is a great program because it's no doc and you can get approved same day and get the funding within about 2 weeks, 2.5 weeks. If this program makes sense, if you want to learn more, just give us a ring, 877-600-200 or 2487, or go to creditsuite.com/get funding to get approved. Now, the other program is cash flow financing. Loans up to $500,000, 48-hour funding. Get the money in 2 days. No collateral, no credit requirements. No matter how bad your credit is, you can still get approved. You just need $5,000 a month in revenue, 1 year time in business. The problem with this program right now is if your revenues are declining, like many of you are, you can't get this. But I'm still telling you about this option in case your revenues are not yet declining. Now I'm going to go back because I have some questions here. Okay, Akila Redmond said, is the $10,000 guarantee? No, if it is a grant, it's given to you. It's not even a loan. So if you go to apply for this EIDL, and I'll give you a link that I put all this information on one resource page that we're updating, and I'll give you that here in the end. Then if you're applying for that EIDL, they let you apply for the $10,000 grant. It is free money. It is given to you. It is money that you do not need to pay back, Akila. Okay, Sheroslin says, if you didn't check the box for grant loan on disaster loan, you can go back and check the box. Okay, great. So she said if you already applied for EIDL and you didn't check the box, because the box wasn't even there Sunday. Like 3 days ago, it wasn't even there. It's there now. She's saying you can go back and check that box to now get that $10,000 grant. Joe says, what happens if people apply for both EIDL and PPP? I know you said the 10,000 grants rolled into the PPP. What happens if you get approved for both? They roll in the EIDL. That's what happens. So you can actually remember, and I'm going to go back all the way on these slides here to show you, but remember when we talked about this, that the amount you're able to get approved for is 2.5 times your average monthly payroll plus outstanding balance of the EIDL. So if you already got the EIDL, then that's already going to be squashed the minute you get the the Paycheck Protection Plan. Okay, but if you already got approved for the EIDL, the disaster loan, they're going to give you this new Paycheck Protection Plan equivalent to 2.5 times your average monthly payroll plus the outstanding balance of the EIDL. So hopefully that answers your question, Joe. They're basically just going to roll in what you have on the balance, that EIDL, into the other program. Okay, one other kind of financing, where this is not one, there's probably 20 in this one, but lines and credits and loans available if you have some kind of asset that is able to use as collateral. 5% interest rates, no credit verification, no cash flow verification. A lot of assets can work here. Stocks, bonds, IRAs, 401ks, inventory, equipment, purchase order, account receivables, real estate, vehicles, book of business if you're an insurance company. So for example, let's say that you're an e-commerce business, and let's say you need to buy inventory right now but don't have the cash. You can actually get the funding you need to buy the inventory and then pay back the payment as you actually get the inventory. That's just an example of this kind of loan. Let's say you have a stock or a bond or 401k or IRA, or mom or dad does. That could be pledged as collateral, and you can get a 5% line of credit against that kind of asset as collateral. So more ways to get money right now. If you have any of these kind of assets, or mom or dad does, or family member or friend, and they're willing to pledge those as collateral, you could borrow against those and get money. Your credit doesn't matter. Your cash flow doesn't matter. So I'm just trying to give you some other creative options outside of SBA that can work for you. And All of these I'm showing you can work on top of SBA. So even if you go get that Paycheck Protection Plan, the PPP loan from SBA, or the EIDL, the Economic Injury Disaster Loan from them, even if you get one of those, you can still get cash flow financing. You can still get that credit line hybrid. You can still get this asset-based financing. It's even more money on top of the grants and the loans that we've talked about. These are all through alternative lenders, not SBA, but I'm giving you non-SBA options that will work for you here as well. Now, Sharaslin said, no, I'm sorry, correction. I didn't see the box either. I was asking, can you go back and check the box? Okay, so I'm not sure. I don't know. The box was added as of Sunday, but if you submitted your application online, you should be able to go back and update your application and check that box for $10,000. But Sharaslin, I'm not really sure. The box just became available for 3 days ago to get that $10,000. And I see, is the hybrid line of question a part of SBA? No, it's not. So SBA, let's go back. They have two main programs. Paycheck Protection Plan. That is the best one because all the money can be forgiven. They have the EIDL. This is the second best option they have. You don't even want to go for this if you went for the PPP loan. The only reason I'm giving you this option is because this option is a really good way to go if you don't have a lot of payroll. I have a lot of friends that have businesses that have been adversely affected, but they don't have a lot of payroll. So even though this is a fantastic loan, the Paycheck Protection Program, because it can be completely forgiven, money that's given to you that never needs to pay back. I mean, this is a game changer for so many small businesses. But if you don't have much or any of a payroll, this isn't going to help you. That's why you go to that second program of EIDL, but you don't want this program if you can get that Paycheck Protection Program. This is the second SBA loan. You don't want this if you can get the Paycheck Protection, but if you can't, you want this one. And then don't forget of some other extra SBA programs, Debt Relief, where they'll pay 6 months worth of your existing SBA loan payments, a bridge loan to give you $25,000 to help you through while you're applying for the other programs. Those are only SBA programs that are currently available for this crisis. Don't get me wrong. Okay, I see you can still come in and get normal SBA funding, but I'm not even talking about that right now because that would be absurd. You would never want to go apply for regular SBA loans right now when these options are on the table that could be forgiven, like the PPP. Then I'm getting away from SBA, and that's when we're talking about the credit line hybrid, the cash flow financing, the asset-based financing. These are non-SBA programs. These are programs offered through alternative lenders that you can get in lieu of or on top of normal SBA funding. So if you can go get the SBA loan and get these, or if you can't qualify for SBA because you don't have payroll or you don't have tax returns to the EIDL, then you can get these options instead of. So I'm just trying to give you a lot of options, including the SBA. Hopefully that answers the question. IC says asset-based funding, is that proof of income required? No, there's no proof of income here. So like I said, there's no credit or cash flow requirements. You don't need to provide credit or cash flow to get any of these asset-based financing options. All you need is the actual asset. Matthew says remediate payroll records from the past. I'm not sure if that's a question, so ask that again if it is. Jeff says, what's the likelihood a trucking company can get this funding? It's absolutely fantastic. Okay, all the things I'm talking about here can work for trucking. Matthew says $500 employee limit. Yes, for the Paycheck Protection Program that can be forgiven, it is a 500 employee limit per location. So if you are a hotel, a restaurant that has multiple locations and multiple different, or a lot of employees at each location, it's $500 employee per location that you are able to actually get this approved for. Okay, and Pedro says, can we get this in writing? Yes, I will show you when we're done how you can get a lot of this information available in a website that we've created to help you as well. Okay, so that being said, I've talked to you about credit line hybrid as an alternative option. I've talked to you about cash flow financing as an alternative option, asset-based financing, and don't forget about business credit as well. With business credit, you can get high limit revolving accounts, fast approvals. It helps you qualify for other kinds of funding. No personal guarantee, no credit check, no collateral requirements, no cash flow requirements. If you don't have cash flow, if you don't have good credit, if you don't have collateral, if you're a startup, this can work for you really well. And you also need to know, for the EIDL, for this economic injury disaster loan that's offered through SBA, you do need to have normal credit requirements. You must meet SBA's regular credit requirements. So if you're applying for this EIDL program, you need to have business credit established anyways. And business credit gives you a great way to come in and get funding even if you can't get the EIDL. So business credit is another great way to get money. And then I'm going to answer questions, but I want to go ahead and give you this resource. We created this creditsuite.com/small-business-crisis-resources. This gives you everything you need to know. Okay, we're going to update this daily. This gives you blogs, it gives you webinars, it gives you descriptions, it gives you sample application for this program that just came out with the PPP. It gives you all the information you need, all the links you need. We put in one place to make it really easy for you to be able to access as well. Now, IC says, I have 260,000 paid assets. How much could I possibly get on that? It depends on what those assets are. So again, we can come in and we can help you if you give us a call or go online to creditsuite.com/get funding. The answer is it depends on the asset. Let me give you an example. If the 260,000 was in a 401k, you could get 100% borrowed against that as a line of credit. If it was stocks or bond, you could get as much as 90%. If it was equipment, you could get as much as 50%. So just by telling me that you have 260,000 in assets isn't good enough. We need to know what kind of asset it is to tell you how much you could borrow against that asset. We could definitely do that by phone or definitely do that online as well. Okay, and IC says, thanks for great information. I'm glad this helps. Hopefully this does help. Jeff says, would there be any restrictions on using this new funding to expand your company? Well, it depends. If you are using the PPP, the Paycheck Protection Program, you want to only use the money for the purposes that they are entailing you to do so, not expansion. There's even specific word in there that they don't want you to go use it for expansion. They want you to use it for 75% of the funds for paying payroll, 25% of the funds for paying expenses. Now, that being said, it's not to say that you can't get the loan, use the loan to pay your payroll, use the loan to pay your expenses, and then use the loan that you're not using to pay payroll and expenses because the loan paid it to use for expansion, if that makes sense. But when you get the money, you're going to need to show that you used money to pay payroll and to pay expenses. It's not to say that you couldn't have saved money by using the loan to pay those things and the money you saved be using for expansion. But for the Paycheck Protection Plan, it is specifically designed for you to maintain existing levels of payroll and pay your main expenses. For the EIDL, the Economic Injury Disaster Loan, they're expecting you use this loan for the makeup of dropped revenue, dropped sales, increased expenses. Those are the expectations of what you're using the funds for on both of those. So hopefully that helps you there. Okay, and Chris says, what is the blanket UCC1? A UCC blanket or a blanket UCC1 is just a UCC filing. This shows up on your business credit reports and tells other lenders that you have an outstanding loan. That's all that means. So it just means that they are putting something on your business credit report called a UCC filing to notify other lenders that you have loans. Okay, Joe says, how does EIDL and PPP work for an owner who has different entities? Has 5 restaurants, each a separate LLC? Make 5 applications? Yes. If you have different entities, you can apply for disaster relief for each individual entity. You absolutely can if those are separate businesses. Now, if you have separate locations, then the Paycheck Protection Program says you can have up to 500 employees per location. But everything I understand right now is that you would submit separate applications for each one of those entities, Joe. Okay, now, 100%? Don't know yet. We're still literally, the bill was passed Friday. SBA just rolled this out last night. So there's still some things like you're describing that it doesn't specifically say in the wording one way or the other. But the wording does lean towards if you have separate entities, then you can apply for separate loans because you're not personally guaranteeing. These is non-recourse. This PPP loan is non-recourse. There's no personal guarantee at all required. Okay, so that means it's not even linked to you personally like normal SBA loans are. It's linked to your actual business and your individual business's payroll. So what you're describing, Joe, is I have 5 businesses. Each business is a separate restaurant, separate location, separate payroll. You'd want to apply for each one of those separately and go ahead and supply the payroll for each one of those entities to get the Paycheck Protection Plan. That's what you'd want to do. And by the way, Joe, you don't even want the EIDL. You don't. based on what you're describing, you want to forget EIDL even existed. The Paycheck Protection Program is better because the money is 100% forgiven. Like, you don't even have to pay it back. So don't go with EIDL if you can get the PPP. I can't say this enough. The EIDL was the very first shot at helping us. $50 billion dumped into SBA right away. This was the loan term. You still have to have credit to qualify. You still have to have cash flow to qualify. You still have to go through an underwriting process. Although the money comes right from the Treasury, you're not going through a bank. You're not going through SBA to get approved. You still have an underwriting process. Now with the PPP, none of that applies. They're not looking at your credit. They're not looking at your revenues. They're not looking at that. What they're looking for is just your actual payroll numbers. They want to make sure that they're actually giving you the money you need, and the money you get is based on your amount of payroll. So if you have even a minor or major payroll, you want this. You don't want that EIDL. Hopefully that helps you. Okay, BIMS Group says, how do you send the PPP form? Well, you can go to right here. Okay, and we've got a place that you will be able to submit that. Now, you can't submit the applications yet. The PPP application is not available. As of today, I will have a sample application from the Small Business Administration that is up here on this link. And that's it. I have it all in one link for you. Okay, so actually, while you're going ahead and asking questions, I'm going to go ahead and type in a couple other links here, and I'm going to put them on this site for you as well. I tried to keep this as simple as possible and just put all of this actually on one link for you, but I'm going to go ahead and give you two other links that you should have. This is the sample application form. Okay, this will give you some of the main descriptions of the program, not that you need them. Okay, so let me go to slideshow from current slide. So I'm going to give you three different links here. Okay, now again, we are going to put, I don't know, it's not going to let me, slideshow from beginning. Let's see if it'll let me do that. So oh, there we go. It's already running. Okay, so here are a few separate links that can help you. Now, I tried to keep it simple, and we're going to put this link 2 and 3 on here. So if you go to creditsuite.com/small-business-crisis-resources, we're going to put these others on there, but there's a sample SBA application. Take a quick screenshot of this, and there's a description from SBA of the program basics as well. Those might be able to help you. BMST Group. Hopefully that helps you. Matthew, single employee LLC, replace my own pay. Yes, if you are a single employee LLC, you can use your own payroll as well. But the EIDL may even work better for you. So if you do the math and you actually look at this and you don't mind going through a full underwriting process, this loan may be better if your payroll is fairly small. So just something to consider. You have some options here. Dwayne says, what if you just have a LLC in retail with a t-shirt company with business license with bank statements for 2 years? Then you probably want to come in for the EIDL. If your payroll isn't significant, then you want to go ahead and apply for the economic injury disaster loan with SBA. But you're going to have pretty good credit, 620 FICO score or higher. They're going to require you build your business, or they're going to require that you meet normal credit requirements. So your credit score's got to be 620 or higher, and you're going to have business credit to get this because you have to meet normal SBA credit requirements. If we can help you with that, just give us a call. We can literally help you build business credit while your application's in, so you have a business credit profile established to be able to get approved. But if your payroll's not a lot, then you might want to consider coming in for the EIDL. Okay, Joe says, thanks, great advice. I'm a new partner and you're awesome. Thanks, man. I really appreciate the feedback. I see. So your company can offer credit-only funding for business and personal. So your company can offer credit only. Yes, this is the alternative financing program that we just talked about called the Credit Line Hybrid. This is a credit only program. All they do is look at your credit. This is not from SBA. This is from a handful of alternative sources that are out there that we can help you get approved with. Okay, remember, when we help you get money, we never charge you a dime. Okay, for anything that we help you get funding, we don't charge you upfront fees. We don't charge you fees that were rolled in. The finance source sometimes pays us a referral, sometimes they don't. Like SBA loans, we don't make a dime. We could charge application fees. We just don't think it's right. We never have. Well, we just don't do business that way. But we can help you with any of these alternative financing or get you to the people that can help you with SBA as well. South Patel says they have actual application on U.S. Department of Treasury site. Yes, they do. And you can also go to disasterloan.sba.gov. if you go to disasterloan.sba.gov, that is how you will get the program for economic injury disaster loans. And you can easily look and just Google EIDL application, you'll find it, but it's disasterloan.sba.gov. If you go there, that's how you can apply for this EIDL directly online. You don't go through a bank, you don't go through a broker. This is right from the Treasury. So you can go right in to apply through SBA's website. That will direct you to the Treasury. And don't forget to check that box to get that $10,000 grant when you actually come in and apply. And Black 12-12 says, I own multiple entities, so I'm going to apply for EIDL for each one. Worst thing they can say is no. Yes, correct. You see it the exact way I see it. Lou says, if you issued out 1099, can you qualify for PPP? Yes, you can. Let's go back because you probably weren't here when we covered that. So you absolutely can. Your payroll protection, actually the PPP plan includes self-employed, it includes 1099, it includes wage earners. So even the people that are on your payroll that are paid as 1099 or independent contractors can still be added into your payroll to qualify. And don't forget, you can be issued as much as 2.5 times your average payroll. That all can be forgiven. 100% of it can be forgiven. So you're going to figure out 2.5 times your average payroll for 2019, including 1099, including self-employed, including W-2, and all of that can be forgiven if you come in and you make sure that 75% of that was used for payroll and 25% of that was used for actual expenses like utilities, like rent, like mortgage, etc. Okay, so hopefully that answers your question. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up. Okay, my goal today was to give you only the basics. Okay, not a bunch of other junk that you may not need. Okay, all I want you to do is know exactly how to come in and get approved. So if we can help you at all, here are some links. Go to creditsuite.com/small-business-crisis-resources. We have a lot of the resources that I went through available for you there. A lot of these things, these just became available last night. We're going to update this page with it. Blog posts, webinars. We're going to put all of our resources there to give you everything you need. If you need help, if this is a little overwhelming, confusing, just call us. 877-600-2487. Go online to creditsuite.com/GovFunding. Our team will help you get the credit line hybrid. We'll help you with all the alternative financing. We'll help you with business credit. We'll do a free assessment with you on the phone to see how fundable your business is, to tell you the money you can get now, to help you get your business credit reports for free and actually see if you're already set up with the reporting agencies now. We can direct you directly to a lender that can help you with the SBA PPP loan if you don't have a lender that you have a relationship with. If you want the SBA economic injury disaster loans, they're disaster loans, go right to disasterloan.sba.gov and you can apply directly on there. But when you apply, don't forget to check the box that you want the $10,000 grant. That can be advanced to you very, very, very quickly as well. Okay, and Matthew says, Boost personal score, Experian Boost, does it work? I can't even talk about that. I don't know enough about Experian Boost to even speak to that. Consumer credit used to be my world. Now commercial credit is. I can't even give you an opinion. I don't know enough about the topic to be able to answer that question. Black 12-212 says, you always provide outstanding information. Thank you. I appreciate that. And Angela says, how does this work for real estate investors? It absolutely can work. The EIDL, they don't like real estate for. So what we've seen so far is EIDL is not going to work really well if you are a real estate investor. But the Paycheck Protection Program can if you have a payroll that you are trying to protect. If you are a real estate investor, you also should consider some alternative financing options. For example, the credit line hybrid is the most popular program that is out there for real estate investors. Now, that being said, there are some SBA funding that still works for you, but other SBA funding that's not going to work for you, just so you know. Okay, and Tracy says, under the credit line hybrid program, is the business credit lines? Yes, it's a combination. I call it a credit line hybrid because it's a combination of business credit cards and lines. You get the benefit of business credit cards that give you 0% interest for up to 18 months. You get the benefit of credit lines that you could write checks against them and take cash out of them. So it gives you the benefits of both programs, which is why I call this the credit line hybrid program. So if you have any questions, I'm not going away. I'm going to continue to pour out more information. Tomorrow, I'm live on Facebook. Tomorrow, I'm live on Instagram. We're talking about building business credit through this as all other kinds of financing. So if you go to our website, creditsuite.com, at the top right of our page, okay, if you go to the top right of our page, right up here where this arrow is, just find us on social and like our pages. Subscribe. Please, if this video helped you, like this video so other people see it. We are going live right now. Here's our schedule. On YouTube, we are live Tuesday at 1 o'clock. Okay, then we go live on Facebook at 2 o'clock. On Wednesday, we typically go live at 11 o'clock Eastern on YouTube. Okay, then we also go live Thursday on Facebook at 11 o'clock and on Instagram at 1 o'clock. So we are releasing all kinds of information that can help you mitigate this crisis. Don't forget to check out our resources page here. That will give you a lot of information we're keeping up to date for you as well, including state funding. If you are in these states right now of Illinois, of Michigan, and Florida, there are disaster loans available for you in the state for $50,000. If you are in New York, if you are in Massachusetts, there are disaster loans available for you for $75,000. In New York, you can get a $27,000 grant. In Michigan, you can get a $10,000 grant. In Colorado, you can get a $7,500 grant. In San Francisco, you can get a $10,000 loan. In LA, you can get a $20,000 loan. This page, creditsuite.com/small-business-crisis-resources, gives you a link to our blog post that's updated in real time of state funding that's available for you, as well as the other options we've talked about. So don't forget to check that out as well. Okay, and I'm going to answer a few other questions and then I'm going to jump off. And if you have any other questions, we are not going away. All you have to do is just simply reach out to us, 877-600-2487, or contact us and get approved at creditsuite.com/get funding, and we will help you. Okay, Tracy says, under the credit line, oh, nope. Card Design says, thank you, Ty, for all you're doing. Thank you. I appreciate that. CAD Design, I said card. Sorry, CAD Design. How long to get through the SBA hybrid? The hybrid program, the credit line hybrid, will take you 1 day. You'll get approved same day, and you'll get your money in about 2 to 2.5 weeks. You'll be able to get the credit lines. They're 0% for 18 months. Some of them report on the Business Credit Reporting Agency. Some of them report on consumer. You choose. You can either get max funding and get both that report to both, or just business credit cards. You could choose when you apply, but you'll get the funding in about 2 to 2.5 weeks with this program. I'm going to wrap up. If you have any other questions, make sure you give us a ring, 877-600-2487, creditsuite.com/get funding, and we will do everything in our power to help you get the money you need to mitigate this crisis. If you came in late, go back from the beginning. We go through all the details on SBA's main two programs, other forgiveness program, or other programs they have, such as their $10,000 grant and their bridge program, and their ability to waive any kind of SBA payments you have on existing SBA loans, and I've given you a handful of other alternative funding as well. And keep an eye on the rest of our live streams where I'll be giving you access to all kinds of additional funding as well. Thanks, everybody. Let us know if we can help you get money for your business and help you with any of these programs, 877-600-2487.